Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream. Sorry about the delay. I think that was it was settings that I uploaded that were weird, and so I had to redo the stream. So anyway, we are here. So uh, Biden Archbishop Edward Weisenberger of Detroit has fired both Dr. Ralph Martin and Eduardo Echeverria. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but I don't know if he has a doctorate or not. But they were both seminary professors at Sacred Heart Seminary in Detroit. Both of them confirmed that with the National Catholic Register. Now I have some links down below in the description. Both these guys confirmed it, and the National Catholic Register actually posted this, which is really nice because stories like this sometimes, kind of fall under the radar, or news outlets don't want to publish that. And so that is what happened. Now I'm kind of processing this. I did see it earlier today, but I'm just kind of reviewing everything. Echeverria told the National Catholic Register no reason had been provided to him for his termination, and that he could not say more due to signing a non-disclosure agreement. So it almost sounds like they may have paid him off. He may have gotten severance pay, which, I mean, if I don't know, if you have at-will employment, it is what it is. Sacred Heart referred the National Catholic Register to the Archdiocese, and the Associate Director of Communications said the Archdiocese does not comment on archdiocesan or seminary personnel matters. So it's a truly evil move, and this Archbishop has really set a bar for a new low. Oh no, someone deleted it. Okay, so Ralph Martin for Renewal Ministries, he released a statement. Let me see if I can read it. I don't know. There we go. Okay, it wasn't deleted. So Ralph Martin released a statement on his page, Renewal Ministries. He'll be fine financially. I mean, he's 82. He's could have retired like probably 10, 20 years ago, but he didn't. And I would imagine that the seminarians really liked him because he's one of, now of course I attend the Latin Mass, but he's one of the Novus Ordo conservatives, but he's actually conservative. So he's questioned some of the things that Francis has done, and definitely he's against universalism. He criticized Hans von Balthasar, who was promoted in the Vatican II Church and under John Paul II. And Bishop Barron is a big fan of his reasonable hope that all are saved. And Ralph Martin did research against von Balthasar, and I respect him for that, for sure. So Ralph Martin said, after consulting with the personnel in Renewal Ministries, I've decided to release the best explanation I have regarding my recent termination from Sacred Heart Major Seminary. My decision to share this is based on widespread dissemination of the news since my firing, and that of fellow Professor Eduardo Echeverria, and my belief that our colleagues, friends, and supporters deserve an explanation, at which you'll see there is none. Yesterday, Archbishop Weisenberger told me he was terminating my position at the seminary effective immediately. When I asked him for an explanation, he said he didn't think it would be helpful to give any specifics, but mentioned something about having concerns about my theological perspectives, which means Ralph Martin does not believe in the synodal church. And for that he was fired, because seminarians cannot be, it's not even they can't be exposed to traditionalism, but not only that, they can't even be exposed to Catholicism. The news came as a shock. I have contributed much to the seminary over more than 23 years. Oh, I didn't realize. I thought he was there for longer, but he's been in the Catholic world for quite a while. I even helped introduce and lead up until yesterday our flagship pontifical degree program, the the licentiate, sorry about licentiate. How do you even say that? I don't know. I'm not in the seminary. I'm not a scholar. Of sacred theology degree and the new evangelization. Oh boy. So more Vatican II stuff, and he's still getting fired. I am grateful for the support and guidance of Renewal Ministries boards in both Canada and the United States. As I write this, I have just returned from a National Deacons Conference in St. Louis, Missouri. Tomorrow I will leave for a conference in Birmingham, Alabama. Then Bishop Scott McCaig and I will leave on Monday for a priest retreat supporting hundreds of priests in Cameroon. All the members of our team continue to focus on advancing the mission, and our gratitude for your support continues as well. So, if Ralph Martin wants to be, if he wants a job, he'll have one in 5 seconds. So that's not a worrying thing. What's concerning is that he was even fired in the first place for not even being against Vatican II, but being against the Synodal Church. So it's, Weisenberger is just attacking the Catholic faith. He was installed on March 18th. He was actually, so this is interesting. He was appointed by the Francis Bot, not Francis, because Francis was in the hospital. It was the Francis Bot, and you know who signed off on it? Cardinal Prevost. Who made the decision to install Weisenberger? I don't think it was Francis. Almost immediately after his promotion to Archbishop of Detroit, he crushed Latin Masses. Almost all the Latin Masses. I think there were 30 of them. And he's protested in some anti-Trump immigration protests. Would you expect to see him at a pro-life protest? I don't know. You'll have to ask him. Echeverria is age 74. He joined the faculty of Sacred Heart in 2003. And it says he was a proponent of ecumenical dialogue with evangelical Christians. Maybe that means like the Scott Hahn types. Ralph Martin wrote in his 2021 book, A Church in Crisis, that Francis was reluctant to dispel ambiguity, which was almost a hallmark of his approach. Francis made a statement that he'd like to think of hell as empty, and Martin penned commentary in the National Catholic Register arguing that his comments were extremely damaging and played into a widespread sympathy towards universalism. Again, it's the same thing. Okay, so this is just another effort for the Modernist Church to try to destroy Catholicism. They're gonna fail. And I do want to read you. So Echeverria wrote some articles for Crisis Magazine. I just want to read you off the titles of these articles, just so that you get an idea of kind of where he stood on things. I gotta verify I'm human to get there. And by the way, because I'm human, I'm wearing a T-shirt. I think I got a comment that complained about me wearing a T-shirt, and right after I had dirt on my face and my head because of a mower, and I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, what do you want me to wear, a suit? Like it's probably like 85 degrees where I'm at, like in this room. So, okay. So here's some of the titles of the articles from Echeverria. What Pope Francis misses about the nature of faith. Solum Magisterium? Question mark. Archbishop Fernandez's complaint about a doctrine of the Holy Father runs the risk of collapsing all distinction between the magisterium and its normative sources such as scripture and tradition. Pope Francis's view of truth. The Synod's interim report, ambiguity and misinterpretation. Sorry. So he was critical of the Francis Church, and because of that, Weisenberger's kicking him out. But it shows. So it goes to show that these rotten bishops, they're not happy. They're not appeased by just crushing the Latin Mass. They need to crush the Catholic faith of the Novus Ordo Catholics as well. And they're not going to. I mean, maybe they will for some people, but don't let that discourage you. But also don't let that enter into their seminaries. You know, every single seminarian at Sacred Heart Seminary needs to leave. They should all leave because their bishop is a modernist. And some of their seminary professors who are teaching the truth are now fired by a modernist. So what are you going to do? What are they going to do? When they go to seminary, are they going to form underground groups where they say, oh, well, we need to talk about stuff like popes that were, the popes before Vatican II. Oh, we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that in public. We have to talk about that in secret. We have to secretly read books that were published before 1962. Yeah, you still have the Institute of Christ the King, but look what happened in Chicago. Weisenberger is headed that direction towards what happened with the Institute of Christ the King in Chicago. The faithful have to push back against these evil men. Chris Wolf. It is a beautiful church. I've never been there, but I've seen photos of the is it this Oratory of St. Joseph, I believe, in Detroit. The Institute of Christ the King runs that. But again, they drew their line. The bishop, Supich in Chicago forced, he pressured all groups to exclusively say the Novus Ordo on first Sundays, and the Institute of Christ the King said nope, and Supich suspended their faculties, and that's where they're at now. Their faculties are suspended. So, but you can't obey a modernist. There's no reason to. Especially when the modernist is, completely out of line, completely, contradicting divine law. So again, all the seminarians, they need to collectively quit Sacred Heart Seminary. You don't have to quit the seminary. They can go somewhere else. But Weisenberger is intent on destroying the place, and you got to resist. Unfortunately, I don't know if they will. I don't know if anyone will. And people will say, Pope Leo needs to do something, but he hasn't. So we got to take it, we have to, people have to take things seriously. They have to rise up against these corrupt bishops. They haven't. We haven't. And in the Francis Church, the bishops that did speak out against this, will any bishop speak out against the firing of Dr. Ralph Martin? My answer is probably no. No, I don't think I don't expect them to speak out immediately, but once they get the facts, it seems like some of the facts are out already. It would be nice to have them speak out, but collegiality, right? The bishops all have to stick together, even if they know someone's wrong. They have to not criticize them. It's basically like a secret handshake agreement, under the table handshake agreement, where you don't criticize your fellow bishops. Strickland violated that agreement and he got kicked out. These guys need to call out error where they see it. And this guy's clearly out of line. He's coming in and destroying everything. I think, was he the guy who banned, yeah, he's the guy who banned Ad Orientem, Novus Ordos. This guy's destroying everything. Everything he touches turns to trash. It's like the opposite of King Midas, right? Everything he's touching turns to trash. This guy's rotten. He's definitely gotten his name out there, though. And will being an evil man get you promoted in the Leo Church like it did in the Francis Church? I guess that remains to be seen. But he's definitely getting his name out there. And I'm sure guys like Supich are taking notice. Who's calling the shots in the United States? It's pretty much Supich. I mean, yeah, he's not in charge of the USCCB, but you don't need to be. He undermined the USCCB whenever they were looking into investigating McCarrick. He went to the Vatican, and Francis undermined the USCCB's efforts to investigate McCarrick. So, we're in a bad spot. You gotta do something about it. I mean, if you're in that archdiocese, you gotta do something. You can't just sit around and let that happen. All right, well, this has been this was a middle of the week show. Haven't done one of those for a while, but this was breaking news, and I wanted to get it out there. I mean, I think by now everyone sees what's going on. If you weren't scandalized by what's been happening, now you probably are. Just another rotten Francis bishop, and we can talk about it as long as we want, but at the end of the day, this is what we got. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.